Warbles on a lot to YouTube, particularly to the big governor. G'day, mate. Listen, I just saw a really petulant set of comments of yours on my clip about government certified fuel flow meters and the SunFoil project. Now, I've put a comment on the thread there to answer you, and it's like this, mate. Once upon a time, there was an Australian Aboriginal who paddled his bark canoe all the way to the allegedly Great British Isles. And when he got there, Billy Wobblestick, he had to change his name to William of the Shakespeare tribe. And when he done that, then he wrote a few plays, you know, and he had a bit of success. And one of the things that Billy Wobblestick said under his alleged guise of William of the Shakespeare tribe, he said, "The guilty flee where none pursue." Think about that, the big governor. You've put, what was it, 2 or 3 comments on my thread protesting your innocence when I said fuck off to the people who doubt my fuel flow figures. And there you are, working over your textbooks, worrying about your armchair theoretical, hypothetical, wouldn't it be nice if fantasies as to why you think I can't be right. But the fact is, I've done the experiment, the big governor. You don't fucking govern me, mate. I don't give a flying fuck where you live. Right? I don't need to be governed. I don't need to be slowed down by other people or other ideas. I'm presenting the results of a personal research project. Okay? If you want to naysay what I'm doing, no amount of textbooks is going to do it, because nobody else has ever done this except for one man. One man, right? His name is Dr. Karl Krushelnitsky. He's got a PhD in mechanical engineering, he's a medical doctor, and he's got a Bachelor of Science in biology. And 30 years ago, when I was a student nurse living in Sydney, I heard on the radio Dr. Karl of the Krushelnitsky tribe explaining how he tried putting solar panels on a car. And he had an isolation switch that he couldn't see. And he got somebody else to toss a coin and flip the isolation switch according to the coin toss and record the results in a diary. And Karl Krushelnitsky claims to have done a double-blind study on a stat of 1. Okay? He pretends that he didn't know whether his solar panel was connected to his battery or not. I say pretends because when I put a 5-watt omnidirectional solar array on my roof rack and connected with a regulator to my battery, guess what? 6 weeks later, I was going up hills in 4th gear instead of 3rd gear, because I had extra torque to the gearbox, because the battery wasn't flat, the flat battery wasn't sucking on the alternator, and the alternator wasn't dragging on the belt, and the belt wasn't dragging on the crankshaft, and therefore, at idle revs, I had enough power to drive up the hill, right? So I am absolutely 100% certain that my observations are accurate. I am correct. And if you have a problem with that, with your theory or your textbooks or whatever it was that the professor taught you at the University, then you have to adjust your hypothesis, because my observations shit all over what you think your theory tells you. Right? And if you feel the need to get all fucking defensive when I am basically smacking Hitomarif in the face, right? I'm showing Hitomarif that my fuel flow figures and my distance figures are in fact accurate. If you feel the need to be defensive about that, then that's a problem with your psychology, mate. Assess, plan, implement, evaluate. In the early 1980s, that was taught to me as the nursing process, and I said to them, hey, wow, this is nothing new. This is the scientific method of problem solving, you know? And I have applied the scientific method of problem solving, otherwise known as the nursing process, to why it was that my battery was so flat with a perfectly working alternator that my electric windows wouldn't work. I've put a 5-watt omnidirectional solar array designed to be aerodynamically drag neutral on the car at 90 kilometres an hour, and I got 10% better fuel consumption. I got 1.5 litres per week less fuel burn. The 10%, you can ignore that because that's a function of how far I drive the car. Right? If I drove the car half that distance, it would have been a 20%. If I drove the car twice the distance, it would have been 5%. Fuck off with the percentage. Let's deal with the litres per week. 1.5 litres a week. I put a 20-watt panel on my son's Brumby and he got 4.2 litres a week. I put a 30-watt panel on my car, replacing the 5-watt panel, and instead of 1.5 litres, I got 5.3 litres a week. You have a major difficulty understumbling that according to your figures in the texting of the book. Well, I don't give a shit. I'm living in the real world. You're living in theoretical fantasy land. Adjust your figures to reality. In vivo is not in vitro. Alright? It never fucking was. All of your figures on fan belt efficiency are relative efficiency, whereas I'm talking absolute efficiency. If you've ever flown a bloody aeroplane or a helicopter, and I've got, 30 hours in a helicopter with a fucking rubber belt between the engine and the gearbox, there is no point believing in 100% efficiency in transmission. For about 5 years, I used to write as a contributing, journalist to a magazine called Pacific Flyer. It's published out of Melbourne in Victoria, Australia. It's for people who fuck around with ultralights. And the one time I dared to assume that a belt drive on an ultralight was 85% efficient, I got about 6 letters in the subsequent magazine, the month later, telling me what a half-wit I was. And I had it explained to me by people who are vastly more knowledgeable than anybody I've ever met on YouTube, right? People who fly fucking aeroplanes for the fun of it and who know about V-belts, because if they don't know about the V-belt, they fucking die. They hang up on the fence, they hit the tree, they crash into the fucking hill because they can't climb over it. And the understumbling among ultralightologists is that a V-belt in a reduction drive, you're lucky to get 75% efficiency out of it. 1-to-1, 60% efficiency. As a step-up ratio, and motor cars are the only fucking animal on the planet that runs a V-belt in a step-up ratio, you're lucky to get 50% efficiency in the belt drive. Every figure that you unidiversity educated fuckwits have raised with me regarding V-belts, I consider to be a relative efficiency figure. You're talking the relative efficiency of your V-belt versus the absolute efficiency it can achieve. Right? It can achieve 50%. You think you're achieving 98%, so you're getting around 49. That's how I see it, right? And my fuel burn figures mean that either the engine's only half as efficient as I think it is, the alternator's only half as efficient as I think it is, or the wing on the roof of the car is about 4 times more efficient than I think it is. So I reckon all you unidiversa titty edumacated dingbats can rethink your opinion on fucking V-belts. Right? I'm not making it up. I've been doing this for 4 years, 3 vehicles, 4 prototypes, and the 5th one is about to get fitted, you know, as soon as I finish painting it. So, get real, because I am. Ciao.